The MG Hector has been a trendsetter of sorts in the compact and mid-size SUV segment. Loaded to the gills with all the latest tech and modern creature comforts, it literally shook things up, so much so that the rivals had to follow suit.
And since the beginning, the Hector has been quite the looker. The design has been one of the top preferences for SUV buyers, and I was pleasantly surprised when I first saw the car in the flesh. Builds up on its design strengths, the grille covers majority of the area of the face. You have bold fringes here on the side of it. Also, a nice amount of chrome bling on the grille and on the bash plate. You continue with the split headlight setup. So DRLs here on the top and the headlight below on the bumper. Character lines too are quite pronounced, so looks very dynamic and very in your face.
The new grille is Argyle inspired and looks dominating. The update very evidently brings out the newness in its design as far as the front end is concerned. But the same can't be said for the profile. The quintessential SUV silhouette is retained without any change to the character lines and detailing. Even the 18-inch alloys are a carryover. That said, the rear does look different, featuring these in-trend connected taillights and sleek chrome line running the width, while the rear bumper too looks muscular and a tad sharper with just the right amount of chrome. The white pattern Hector lettering too is inevitable. So on the design front, it's pretty much on track, retaining the likeable SUV stance. But when it comes to the cabin, it's a substantial progress. So it's on the inside where MG has truly upped the ante. The cabin feels a notch plusher. You have soft touch upholstery on the dashboard, also on the door pads here, and a different design. So dashboard looks very new, very fresh. There's a very balanced use of color treatment, beige upholstery, all black dashboard, new inserts, silver inserts on the dashboard, piano black finish there, and a different design for the central console. We have this closer for cup holders. The gear shifter feels very jet plane like to shift, and new toggle switch here on the central console. So even for ventilated seats, the operation has moved here. Earlier they were positioned on the side of the central console. Yes, the positioning now feels ergonomically correct and not like an afterthought. It's now within close proximity of your hands, which was not the case with the outgoing model. And speaking of ergonomics, so even ergonomically, the cabin feels very better. You have got a good positioning for both center armrest and for driver armrest. Different design for the door pads here. The steering can be adjusted both for reach and for brake. So it's very easy to get a good driver position. So the feel-good factor has been upped, but MG has just hit it out of the park when it comes to tech. The highlight remains this 14-inch touchscreen system. So a very Tesla-like vibe with the screen. The graphics are very crisp and it has bold font, so very easy to read. It doesn't distract you, that's a plus point. Also, my personal favorite is that you get full view of the Android Auto, so that's again a segment best feature in the Hector. The screen has evolved, and how. It's the largest in the segment and has wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay projection on the entire screen. It's also loaded with apps, and not to mention, you do get the Parkless app on the new generation Hector as well. So you can use all our services like parking solution, valet reservation and FASTag recharge on the go. What I also love about the touchscreen is actually the Galaxy home screen. Quite a fancy gimmick. You can scroll through locations and cities across the globe, supported by the onboard Mappls and Map My India powered navigation. The climate control system too is only accessed through the screen and voice command. And that's something I don't like. Physical buttons have one-touch operation and so are always more convenient. Having said that, there's no compromising on creature comforts. Wireless charging, 2.5 particulate matter air purifier and ionizer, 3D and 2D 360-degree camera view park assist, power adjustment for both driver and co-driver seats, auto-dimming rear view mirror, powered boot gate, over 75 connected tech features and voice command in 5 languages including English, Hindi, Punjabi, Marathi and Tamil. Yes, the cabin as always is features abound. The new screen is the digital instrument cluster, which doubles up as a multi-information display or MID, showing ADAS alerts, navigation direction, tire pressure monitoring and more information than you actually need on the fly. Then Users can also give access of the car to their trusted acquaintances through Bluetooth car key sharing feature on the MG app. Quite convenient for chauffeur-driven owners. And it remains at the top of its game when it comes to ambience.
So 8 ambient lighting color options on the new generation Hector, and since the beginning the Hector has always had the nicest layout in the segment. You have it on the dashboard, on the side of the central console, on the door pockets, and of course on the floor as well. It adds to that premium quotient of the car, and as I said, very nicely done.
It's aesthetically appointed across the cabin and looks dapper when lit. Good enough to set the tone for your evening jaunts and clubbing vibe. There's enough kneeroom at the rear, and the sense of space is accentuated courtesy a big panoramic sunroof and generous glasshouse area. And speaking of the sunroof, it's now also operable through the screen, so you can set the exact closer for the roof. The only thing I miss having are sunblinds for rear windows. Same goes even for the Hector Plus, the 6-seater version of the Hector. But the sense of airiness here is a bit compromised with the use of darker brown and black interior theme, and the third row is best suited for kids. But second row is slightly more comfortable, featuring captain seats. So it's now time to hop into the driver's seat, but before we begin, there's a very important and new feature to talk about. The Advanced Driver Assistance System, or ADAS. Again, a segment best feature so far.
So third model in MG's lineup to get ADAS level 2 autonomous features on the new generation Hector, and yes, the car can drive all by itself. It also has adaptive cruise control, so it will adjust the speed according to the traffic, will slow down, will speed up, and can also change lanes. And two very cool features. First is the traffic jam assist, so in bumper to bumper traffic, you don't need to drive the car, you can sit and relax and the car will do the job for you, and you can set the distance using these two buttons on the steering wheel. Then you also have auto indicator, so basically when you'll be turning the steering wheel and if you miss putting on the indicator, the car will do it for you. A very good safety feature to have in our traffic conditions, because most of the times we do forget to use the indicators.
The ADAS feature does take a bit getting used to in the Indian traffic conditions, and more often the car asks you to keep your hands on the steering wheel. But in rush hour traffic, it's a relief.
So both same engine options on the new generation MG Hector, the petrol and even the diesel one, and I have driven both at length before, so can say that in terms of performance, nothing has changed. The diesel engine is a no-brainer for someone who is more of a highway person, who is more for longer commutes, because better fuel economy and you have ample reserve of power. But for city commutes, the petrol engine option that we are driving now is the right fit, because the power delivery is very smooth and you have the convenience of an automatic only in the petrol option. You have the 8-step automatic gearbox and you have ample reserve of power even here. The mid-range is strong, even low-end torque is good.
The tried and tested 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol motor churns out 141 brake horsepower at 5000 rpm and 250 Nm of peak torque accessed from 1600 rpm. As already mentioned, it gets an 8-step CVT automatic gearbox which is quite smooth.
So the buildup of power is linear across the ref band, but the only flip side is that this engine is a bit thirsty. So yes, when it comes to fuel economy, it will take a toll on your pocket.
If fuel economy is what you are looking for, the Fiat So's 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine should be the obvious choice. It belts out 167 brake horsepower at 3750 rpm and 350 Nm of peak torque between 1750 and 2500 rpm. It's punchy and powerful, but is available with only a 6-speed manual transmission. So no automatic, which is a big miss, especially when there's a clear preference and all rivals have it. But the right quality makes up for the inconvenience to an extent.
So ride quality has always been one of the strengths of the MG Hector, courtesy softer suspension, but in the previous model it used to take a slight toll on the handling. I'm happy to report that in the new generation model, MG has managed to strike a very good balance between ride and handling. The suspension doesn't feel overly stiff and you don't feel that pinch when you're taking potholes or when you're going over bumps. So yes, you can carry decent speed even on rough surfaces.
The suspension tuning on the new Hector has been aptly calibrated. Passengers are not tossed up too much on bad roads.
And when it comes to handling, body rolls are more or less contained. So when you are changing lanes, when you are maneuvering at a higher speed, the car remains more or less composed. That's a big plus, and I'm pleasantly surprised there.
Unlike before, there's less sideward movement now around sharp bends and corners. But don't mistake it for a corner cover or something very agile on the twisties.
The only improvement I would have liked to see was in the steering feedback, because I want it to be a bit more communicative when I'm changing lanes or when I'm pointing the car at a particular direction on with my steering inputs just in the same manner. That said, the steering does weigh up to a certain limit when you speed up, so yes, you have certain amount of confidence there.
Better steering feedback with less center slack would have been reassuring when pushing it a bit harder. But I agreed that the Hector is more of a versatile and easy-going cruiser, so it's definitely not a deal breaker. With prices beginning from Rs 14,73,000 for the base style variant and going up to Rs 21,73,000 for the range-topping savvy variant, it bridges the gap between compact SUVs like the Kia Seltos and Hyundai Creta and mid-size SUVs like the Mahindra XUV700 and Tata Safari. And yes, the package doesn't give you the chance to bargain much.
So the new Hector has gotten even better. It's packed to the brim with new features, new tech, looks very modern and feels very premium on the inside. So if you're in the market to buy a compact SUV, this makes a very strong case and I have enjoyed driving it thoroughly. For me, it's time for a tea break. See you guys.